Booker T is a legend, a two-time Hall of Famer, 35 championship reigns, one of the greatest to ever step in the ring. But if you listen closely to his podcast, you hear something else. A pattern, a list of names that keeps growing. Wrestlers he cannot stand, wrestlers he refuses to shake hands with, wrestlers he threatens with lawsuits. And just recently, one of wrestling's brightest young stars looked into a camera and said something that set Booker T off like never before. Swerve Strickland called him out, and Booker fired back hard. But Swerve is not the only one, not even close. So what makes a legend build so many enemies? Let's find out. Booker T has spent decades in wrestling. He survived prison, he survived the territories, he survived WCW's collapse. He built a Hall of Fame career on respect and hard work. But along the way, he also built walls, tall ones. And on the other side of those walls are 10 wrestlers who learned the hard way that crossing Booker T means war. Some of these feuds are old, some are brand new, some got resolved, others never will. This is the story of Booker T's hate list, and it starts right now. Number 10, Swerve Strickland. This one is fresh. This one is still burning. Swerve Strickland is the AEW World Champion, young, talented, rising fast. And in 2024, he said something about Booker T that you just don't say. Swerve brought up WrestleMania 21, a segment where Vince McMahon used the N-word in a skit with Booker T and John Cena. Swerve said that moment told you everything you need to know about Booker T. He implied Booker was willing to accept racially questionable creative. He suggested Booker was out of touch, maybe even a sellout. Booker T exploded. He said Swerve was out of pocket. He said Swerve does not understand the sacrifices required to stay on top in the early 2000s. He said Swerve benefits from doors that Booker helped open. And maybe Booker has a point, but the way he responded showed something else. Sensitivity, defensiveness, an inability to let younger wrestlers criticize him. Booker called Swerve's comments disrespectful. He dismissed them as ignorant. He painted himself as the pioneer who suffered so Swerve could thrive. But Swerve did not back down. He kept poking. He ended promos with lines targeting Booker. And Booker kept responding over and over on his podcasts, in interviews. It became clear that Booker T cannot handle being questioned by the new generation, especially when that questioning involves race and representation. This is not just a wrestling beef. This is generational trauma. An older black wrestler feeling attacked by a younger one. And instead of having a conversation, Booker built another wall. Number 9, Ahmed Johnson. If there is one name on this list that represents true hatred, it is Ahmed Johnson. Not philosophical disagreements, not professional disappointment, pure personal hate. Ahmed Johnson was a star in the WWF during the mid-90s. First black intercontinental champion. Big, intense, fast-tracked to the main event. At the same time, Booker T was grinding in WCW as a tag team wrestler with his brother Stevie Ray. Ahmed has said in interviews that Booker was jealous, that Booker was just a tag guy, while Ahmed was main eventing pay-per-views. That hurts Booker's pride. Booker values his slow-build career. He sees it as superior to Ahmed's rocket push. But Ahmed did not stop there. He went personal. He targeted Booker's prison past. Booker has been open about his robbery sentence. He calls it a turning point, a moment that forced him to change his life and get disciplined. Ahmed used that history as a weapon. He cast doubt on Booker's redemption story. He made it sound dirty, and Booker never forgave him. Years later, they ran into each other at an airport. This was likely in the early 2000s and 20s. Ahmed smiled. He tried to say hello, like the beef was just wrestling business. Like all the personal attacks were just show. Booker walked past him, did not say a word, did not even look at him. Booker later said on his podcast that Ahmed is a lying, notorious lying, low-down piece of, you know what? He said he did not even acknowledge him because of all the lies Ahmed told. He said if Ahmed tells another lie about him, he will sue. He will take him to court. He has receipts. He has facts. This is not a wrestling feud. This is real-life hatred, and Booker is proud of it. He refuses to acknowledge Ahmed exists. He refuses to be in the same room. Ahmed has responded by challenging Booker to a fight, by going on other podcasts like the Hannibal TV and talking trash. And Booker just threatens more lawsuits. It is petty, it is bitter, and it shows that Booker T holds grudges forever. Ahmed was unsafe in the ring. Ahmed injured people like Ron Simmons. Ahmed had a bad attitude. Ahmed's career fell apart because of injuries and his own mistakes. But Booker cannot let it go. He has to keep talking about it. He has to keep reminding everyone that he hates Ahmed. It is almost obsessive. And it makes you wonder if Booker spends too much time looking backward instead of forward. Number 8, Ryback. This is new school hatred, digital hatred, social media hatred. Ryback left WWE in 2016, and he has been angry ever since. He attacks Vince McMahon online. He attacks Triple H. He calls championship belts fake props. He says the titles mean nothing. He says he was held down. He complains constantly about his booking and his push. And Booker T cannot stand it. Booker views wrestling as something sacred, something that saved his life. He believes you should be grateful for the opportunity. He believes you take your bumps and say thank you. You do not air dirty laundry online. Ryback represents everything Booker hates about modern wrestlers. Entitlement, complaining, disrespect for the business, lack of accountability. Booker went on his podcast and destroyed Ryback. He said he has no respect for him. Zero. He said if he ever sees Ryback again, he will not shake his hand. In wrestling, refusing a handshake is a huge insult. It means you are not part of the fraternity, you are not one of the boys. Booker expelled Ryback from the Brotherhood, and he did it publicly. He called Ryback a whiner. He said Ryback lacks accountability for his own failures. He said Ryback's complaints about being held down are pathetic excuses. Ryback responded with personal insults on social media. He fired back at Booker, and Booker added him to the list. Permanently, the door is closed. Forever. But here is the thing. Booker's response was over the top. Ryback is bitter and angry, sure, but lots of wrestlers complain about their booking. Lots of wrestlers feel they were misused or underutilized. It happens all the time. Booker took it personally. He acted like Ryback was attacking him directly, like Ryback was insulting Booker's legacy. He made it about defending WWE's honor, about defending the business, about protecting the system, but really he was just defending his own worldview, his own philosophy. Booker cannot handle wrestlers who do not play by his rules, who do not show gratitude the way he thinks they should, who question the people in charge, so he cuts them off. He refuses to shake their hands. He puts them on a public list, and he talks about them on his podcast to make sure everyone knows they are not welcome in his world. Number 7, Buff Bagwell. July 2nd, 2001, Tacoma, Washington, Monday Night Raw. This was supposed to be the beginning of something big. WWE had bought WCW in March of that year. They were going to run it as a separate brand, a touring brand with its own roster. Booker T was the WCW World Champion at the time of the purchase. He was the cornerstone of this plan. He accepted the buyout of his Time Warner contract to join WWE immediately. He was betting on himself. His first Raw match was against Buff Bagwell for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. It was a disaster. The crowd hated it. They chanted boring. They rejected the WCW stars before the bell even rang. Vince McMahon killed the WCW brand idea that night, based largely on this one segment. And Booker T blames Buff Bagwell for the failure. Booker has said that match was an audition, succeed or fail, but it was designed to fail. The crowd was hostile. They were loyal to WWE. They had been trained to view WCW as the enemy. The commentary team of Jim Ross and Paul Heyman buried the talent instead of putting them over. The venue was wrong. Tacoma was not a WCW stronghold like Atlanta would have been. Still, Booker showed up ready to work. He did his best. He performed professionally, but Bagwell did not. Bagwell treated it like just another night. He was sloppy. He was unprepared. He did not rise to the occasion, and Booker had to carry him through the entire match. After that match, Bagwell was fired shortly thereafter. He got into an altercation at a training facility. He allegedly faked an injury to get out of working. His mother, Judy Bagwell, called WWE offices to complain about his travel arrangements. This made Bagwell a pariah in the locker room. Booker survived the disaster and went on to a Hall of Fame career. Bagwell faded away into obscurity. Booker T has never let it go. He talks about that match like it was a personal betrayal. He calls Bagwell too WCW. He says Bagwell did not fit culturally into the WWE locker room. He says Bagwell was entitled, a mama's boy who could not handle the pressure, someone who could not handle the big leagues. And maybe Bagwell was all those things. But Booker's bitterness feels excessive. That match failed for a lot of reasons. The booking was terrible. The crowd was set up to reject them. The presentation was wrong. But Booker decided it was all Bagwell's fault. He needed someone to blame for the failure of the WCW invasion. And Bagwell was the easy target. So Booker built a narrative around it. Bagwell was the anchor that almost dragged him down. Bagwell was the reason WCW failed in WWE. And Booker has repeated that narrative for over 20 years. Every time someone asks about the invasion, it is resentment disguised as professionalism. It is bitterness wrapped in business talk. Number 6, Batista. 2006, SummerSlam season. Booker T was King Booker. He was the World Heavyweight Champion on SmackDown. He was the top heel. He was the locker room leader. He had reinvented himself with a fake British accent and regal mannerisms. Batista was the rising megastar. Big, powerful, crossover appeal, the heir apparent to the main event scene. But according to reports from the time, later confirmed by multiple sources, Batista had developed an attitude problem. He was perceived as arrogant. He believed he was bigger than the brand due to his rapid ascent. He had reportedly been vocal about the SmackDown brand being inferior to Raw, and Booker T took that as a personal insult to the wrestlers working hard to build that show. The tension exploded at a commercial shoot. They were filming a promo for the SummerSlam pay-per-view. The cast was assembled at a mansion. A verbal argument started. Something about respect. Something about Batista's lack of respect for the locker room. And then it became physical. A real fight. Fists thrown. A legitimate backstage brawl. Booker T claims he held his own. He says he taught the younger wrestler a lesson in respect. He views it as a necessary correction, a checking of a young ego that was getting out of control. Some reports say Booker sandbagged Batista in matches leading up to or following this fight. Sandbagging means making yourself dead weight to make your opponent look weak. This is a cardinal sin in wrestling, but Booker generally denies unprofessionalism in the ring. Some reports also suggest Booker's wife, Sharmell, was involved in the melee defending her husband, though this is often treated as locker room folklore. Here is the interesting part. Booker and Batista are friends now. Booker says the fight cleared the air. They settled it like men. They had a fight and they did business afterwards. They did not run to the dirt sheets. They did not complain online. They handled it old school. He respects Batista today. But the fact that Booker was willing to get into a fist fight backstage says something important about his character. He does not de-escalate conflicts. He does not walk away from confrontation. He escalates. He meets disrespect with violence. And then he talks about it proudly years later. Like fighting is the correct response to disagreement. Maybe in wrestling culture, it is acceptable. But it also shows that Booker T is quick to throw hands when his pride is hurt. And his pride gets hurt easily, very easily. Number 5, Jeff Jarrett. Booker T's time in TNA wrestling from 2007 to 2009 is often called a paid vacation by wrestling historians. But behind the scenes, there was real tension, specifically with Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett founded TNA in the early 2000s. He also frequently booked himself as the champion, as the top guy, as the main eventer. Booker T came to TNA as a huge star fresh off his King Booker run in WWE. He was a former world champion, a main event talent, but he found the company chaotic, small time compared to WWE. And centered around Jeff Jarrett's ego and his vision. Booker has hinted at backstage arguments over the years. He has said in interviews that Jarrett pushed himself at the expense of incoming talent like Booker and Scott Steiner. He felt that Jarrett's booking decisions were selfish, that Jarrett put himself over instead of building new stars. Booker created the Legends Championship in TNA during his time there. He basically awarded it to himself in storyline. That move reflected his isolation in the company. He felt underutilized. He felt disrespected. He felt that Jarrett's management style was carny, unprofessional, old school in the worst way. Booker viewed TNA as beneath him, as a step backward from WWE, and he viewed Jarrett as the primary reason it stayed that way, as the ceiling that prevented TNA from reaching its potential. This is disdain from a corporate guy toward a mom and pop operation. Booker had worked for WWE, the machine, the big leagues, the professional operation with proper structure. TNA felt like going back to the territories, like going backward in time, and Jarrett represented everything wrong with it. Booker has softened on Jarrett over the years. He acknowledges Jarrett's hustle as a promoter. He admits Jarrett worked hard to keep TNA alive, but the frustration is still there underneath. The feeling that Jarrett held the company back with his ego, that Jarrett's desire to be the star prevented TNA from becoming what it could have been, and that Booker T wasted 2 years of his prime in a company that did not appreciate him or use him correctly. It is the hate of someone who feels they deserve better. And maybe Booker did deserve better, but his bitterness toward Jarrett feels like he cannot accept that he made a bad business decision by going to TNA in the first place. So he blames the guy who ran the place instead of taking responsibility for his own choice. Number 4, the Young Bucks. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. The Young Bucks represent everything Booker T dislikes about modern wrestling, everything he finds wrong with the current generation. They flip around the ring constantly. They do super kicks in every single match. They break the fourth wall and acknowledge the business. They prioritize athleticism over psychology, over storytelling, over making it look real and believable. Booker T has been very vocal in his criticism of their style. He says they lack selling. They do not react to pain properly. They do too many high spots without without building to them. They do not understand the art of working, the art of telling a story in the ring that makes sense. The Young Bucks built their brand on being the antithesis of the WWE style that Booker champions. They embraced the indie style that Booker criticizes, and they became massive stars doing it. They helped found AEW. They became EVPs. They made millions. But Booker dismisses their success. He says they can perform, but they do not work right. He gives them backhanded compliments constantly. He admits they are athletic and talented, but then tears down their philosophy and their approach. It is the classic old school versus new school divide, the traditional versus the modern. And Booker is firmly on the old school side. He cannot accept that wrestling has evolved, that it has changed, that what worked in his era might not be what fans want now. There is also a rumored incident involving a handshake. Early in the Bucks' career, when they were still trying to make it, they allegedly did not shake Booker's hand at a WWE tryout or event. They did not show proper deference to the veteran. Booker perceived it as disrespect, as big leaguing him, as young guys who did not know their place. The Young Bucks have addressed this in their book and in interviews. They say it was a misunderstanding. They were intimidated. They did not know the proper protocol. They were nervous. But Booker uses that story repeatedly to illustrate the lack of respect in the modern generation. And it becomes a weapon for him. Proof that these young guys do not get it. Proof that they do not understand the business. Booker has said on his podcast that the Young Bucks can work. He has admitted they are good at what they do, but he cannot help himself. He has to critique them anyway. He has to tear them down. And it comes across as jealousy or stubbornness. An inability to accept that wrestling has evolved past his era, that fans want something different now than they wanted in the 1990s. Booker clings to his era, his style, his rules, his code, and anyone who breaks those rules gets criticized publicly. Even if they are successful, even if they are beloved by their fan base, Booker cannot let it go. He has to be right. He has to prove his ways the correct way, and that makes him look old and bitter and out of touch. Number 3, Cory Graves. In early 2018, Booker T was replaced on the Raw commentary team by Jonathan Coachman. Cory Graves was his colleague on the desk, and Booker went on his radio show and said some shocking things. He said if he saw Cory Graves on the street, he would do something to him. He said nobody knew who Cory Graves was before he retired from in-ring competition due to concussions. He buried him completely. He questioned his credentials. He made it personal. The internet exploded with the comments. Wrestling websites reported it as real beef, as a legitimate backstage conflict brewing. Fans took sides. People debated who was right. But then the truth came out weeks later. It was a planned conflict to generate buzz and attention. Cory Graves and Booker T were on good terms behind the scenes. They had coordinated the whole thing together. It was designed to keep Booker's name in the headlines during a time when he was off television, to create drama, to generate controversy, to get clicks and views, and it worked perfectly. People believed it was real. They wrote articles about it. They made videos analyzing the beef. And Booker got exactly what he wanted: attention and relevance. This reveals something important about Booker T's character. He is willing to manipulate the dirt sheet cycle for his own benefit. He knows how wrestling media works in the modern age. He understands the ecosystem. He knows that conflict sells, that controversy generates interest, so he manufactures it when he needs to. He says inflammatory things deliberately. He lets people believe it is real and legitimate. And then later, sometimes much later, he reveals it was all a work. But by then, the damage is done. The narrative exists in the public consciousness. Cory Graves is on the hate list in people's minds. Even though Booker never actually hated him at all, it is cynical, it is manipulative, it is smart from a business perspective, but it also makes you question everything Booker says going forward. How much of his beef is real? How much is just content for his podcast? How much is manufactured drama designed to keep him relevant? And does Booker even care about the difference anymore? Or is it all just part of the game to him? Number 2, Jason Jordan. During his time as a Raw commentator, Booker T spent months absolutely burying Jason Jordan on air. Jordan was playing Kurt Angle's storyline illegitimate son at the time. It was a controversial angle that fans did not really accept, and Booker relentlessly criticized Jordan every single week. He called out his illegal tactics constantly. He pointed out that Jordan used moves that should have been against the rules. He said Jordan was not over with the crowd. He noted that no one in the audience had signs for him. He made Jordan sound like a total loser who did not deserve his spot week after week after week. It was brutal to listen to. On the surface, this looked like genuine dislike. It seemed like Booker really had a problem with Jason Jordan, but the reality is more complicated than that. Booker was playing a role. He was supposed to be the heel commentator, or the tough love veteran who tells it like it is. He was trying to give Jordan's bland babyface character some edge, some heat, some controversy. By being the antagonist and constantly criticizing him, Booker was trying to force the audience to react, to care about Jordan one way or another. It was actually an attempt to help Jordan get over, but it came across as bullying, as punching down, as a veteran Hall of Famer tearing apart a younger guy who was just trying to make it in the business. And maybe that was the fundamental problem with Booker's approach. His help did not feel like help to anyone watching. It felt mean-spirited. It felt personal, even though it probably was not meant that way. Even if Booker's intentions were good behind the scenes, the execution was harsh and unforgiving. Jordan's career was derailed by a serious neck injury shortly after this period. And looking back now, Booker's constant criticism did not age well at all. It looks like a Hall of Famer kicking a guy when he was down, like someone using their position and credibility to bury someone who had no real chance to respond or defend themselves. And even if Booker's intentions were good, even if he thought he was helping, the execution was harsh enough that it damaged both men. It showed that Booker does not always know how his words land with the audience. He thinks he is teaching, he thinks he is helping, he thinks he is doing the right thing for the business, but sometimes he is just making things worse for everyone involved. Number 1, Triple H. This is the big one, the one that haunts Booker T whether he admits it or not, the one that fans will never let go of. WrestleMania 19, Booker T versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. The build-up to this match was ugly, uncomfortable, hard to watch. Triple H told Booker that people like him do not get to be champion. He referenced Booker's nappy hair in a promo. He brought up his criminal past, his prison time. It was a storyline with heavy racial undertones that made everyone uncomfortable, and the story logic demanded that Booker win. The hero overcomes the villain. The racist gets his comeuppance. Justice prevails. The good guy wins. That is how wrestling stories are supposed to work. But that is not what happened at WrestleMania 19. Triple H won the match clean, decisively. After hitting his finishing move, the pedigree, Triple H waited over 20 seconds before casually pinning Booker. It looked like a complete burial, a humiliation on the biggest stage. Fans were furious immediately. Wrestling critics called it one of the worst booking decisions in WrestleMania history, a terrible ending to a terrible storyline. And Booker T's career never fully recovered from that loss. He should have been world champion. He should have had that coronation moment, that vindication. But Triple H took it from him on the biggest show of the year. Here is the twist that makes this complicated. Booker T says he does not hate Triple H. He says publicly that he moved on. He says it was just business, just a creative decision that he could not control. He says he does not lose sleep over it. He got paid well for the match. He had a long, successful career overall. It was just one night out of thousands. But fans do not believe him when he says this. They cannot accept it. They hold a grudge on his behalf. They hate Triple H for burying Booker. And Booker has to keep defending Triple H publicly. Keep saying it is fine. Keep saying he is okay with it. Keep insisting it does not bother him. But why does Booker have to keep saying it? If he truly moved on completely, why does the topic come up so often? Why does he bring it up in interviews years later? Why does he feel the constant need to reassure everyone that he is okay with what happened? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle of these two extremes. Booker is not consumed by hatred for Triple H. He does not lie awake at night thinking about it, but it bothers him deep down inside. He knows that match should have gone differently. He knows he deserved better than what he got. But Triple H became the chief content officer of WWE, the man in charge of creative. Booker needed to maintain a good relationship with him to keep his commentary job, to keep his pre-show panel spot, to stay relevant in the company. So he buries his real feelings. He plays nice publicly. He says all the right things that the company wants to hear, and he builds another wall, this one between his true feelings and his public persona, between what he really thinks and what he is willing to say on the record. And that is the real story here. Booker T is not a villain. He is not a bad guy, but he is a man who has built a career on pride and professionalism, on respect and hard work. And when that pride gets wounded, he does not forget. He does not forgive easily. He builds walls between himself and the people who hurt him. He refuses handshakes as a statement. He threatens lawsuits to protect his reputation. He goes on his podcast week after week and lists his enemies. One by one, he tells the stories, he sets the record straight, he controls the narrative. Swerve Strickland, Ahmed Johnson, Ryback, Bagwell, Batista, Jarrett, the Young Bucks, Cory Graves, Jason Jordan, Triple H. 10 names, 10 conflicts, 10 walls built over the years. Some of these conflicts got resolved. Batista became a friend after they fought it out. Cory Graves was never really an enemy at all, but most of these conflicts remain frozen in time, still burning, still unresolved. And behind every name on this list is the same basic pattern. Someone questioned Booker's authority. Someone disrespected his legacy. Someone did not follow his code of conduct. Someone broke the rules that Booker holds sacred, and Booker never let it go. He cannot let it go. It becomes part of his identity. Maybe that is what makes him a legend in the first place. The refusal to compromise on his principles. The unwillingness to accept disrespect from anyone. The pride that pushed him from prison to the Hall of Fame. The work ethic that made him a 5-time WCW champion. The discipline that built a 35-title career. But maybe it is also what makes him lonely. Because when you build that many walls over that many years, eventually you are standing alone on your side. And all you have left is a podcast where you talk about the people on the other side, where you explain why they are wrong, where you defend your decisions, where you control your own narrative. Booker T is a Hall of Famer, a 2-time inductee, a champion, a survivor who overcame incredible odds, one of the greatest to ever do it, a man who saved himself through wrestling, and that will never change. That legacy is secure. No matter how long the hate list gets, no matter how many more names get added over the years, no matter how many more walls get built, Booker T will always be remembered as one of the best. And maybe that is enough. Maybe that is all that matters in the end.